What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast, and we are in my kitchen. And we're saying hello again to our old podcast equipment stuff. They're a bit
battered.
They're a bit battered, a bit bruised. Yeah, as we're getting older. Yeah, for anyone who didn't see my Instagram, I got a phone call, and they'd basically been launched at the bottom of someone's garden. And as the
seasons have changed,
yeah, the autumn's sweeping the leaves up, then they've kind of come to fruition again. So yeah, big thank you to the lovely lady who discovered them and gave us them back, which is great. Also, big thanks to my mate Danny Whittle, who he always looks after me when I'm in Ibiza. Bit of a legend. He won't mind. Well, he'd probably be a bit humble and say he's not, but he is a bit of a legend. And he sent me this Ibiza top. So again, I try and go to Ibiza, a couple of times a year. And the last few years, Danny has really looked after me. And he just texted me and he said, "Andy, what's your address? I want to send you a little present." Sent him my address, and then a week or so later, this looks a little bit like the Man City top, which I'm a bit gutted about, but it's actually Ibiza. And on the back of it, it's got none other than
Juan Leg.
Juan Leg.
Juan Leg.
Which is great. Danny, ex-Navy himself, so we have got that.
Sounds like you own one, mate. He looks after you in Ibiza every time, buys your shirt. What do you do for him?
I know. I bring him some good chat. Yeah, so he's ex-Navy, ex-Marine, so we have a great relationship. Really looks after me. So Danny, massive thank you, mate.
Don't the Marines and the Navy hate each other? Isn't that like a thing? No. There's
good banter between them. Like the Marines are called bootnecks and the Navy are called a matlow. But I'd much prefer someone in the Navy than the Army or the RAF.
I thought the Army was closest to the Marines.
No, the Marines are part of the Navy.
Okay, that's my naivety around the forces, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I always assumed that the Marines were an extension of the Army or something, because it's like more
no, so you have the
boots on the ground.
So you have the Army, the Navy and the RAF, but then you have the Marines are part of the Navy, and then you have the Paras are part of the Army. So the Marines and the Paras are kind of like two main ones. Okay. The RAF just gets the most shit.
Yeah.
They're just like civvies in uniform, basically. Yeah. Without getting into too much military banter and chat, but yeah, Danny, nice one, mate. Right, onto sport. I actually thought there'd be quite a bit to talk about, but as I was doing my little research, there wasn't a million stories jumping out at me. One of them that did jump out at me though, which shouldn't really laugh about because
allegations are serious.
Allegations are very serious, yeah, and what's happened. But basically, Benjamin Mendy has come out after he's been found innocent of any wrongdoing. And he's now trying to sue Man City for about 11 million quid of loss of earnings, unpaid wages. And in his tribunal, he has basically said that he's been...
Listen to anyone, don't connect your phone to your iPad like
Sorry
Andy's
about
doing
that.
Here.
So, basically, Benjamin Mendy, he's trying to sue Man City for unpaid wages for 11 million quid. And in his tribunal, his argument is he's been signalled out when everyone was doing it. And he's not only kind of said he's been signalled out, or singled out, I should say, he said that Captain Carl Walker was part of the sex...
As if Carl Walker hasn't got enough issues anyway.
What's he got, like 3 kids was it? He's got a mad kind of thing, hasn't he?
He has an affair with someone, has a baby with her, then ended the affair, and now she's pregnant again.
How'd you get away with that? Anyway, so...
200 grand a week probably does it.
Probably, yeah. So Mendy's come out and said, listen, it's not just me, so you can't be kind of singling me out. Carl Walker was at it, John Stones was at it, Jack Grealish was at it, Mahrez was at it, Sterling was at it, and we all had casual sex and drank at these parties. Now, he's come out in the past, Mendy, and said that Raheem Sterling was helping him kind of...
pay his legal fees and look after his family while he was in jail.
Well, Man City are holding back, allegedly 11 million quid. So there's players who were giving him money. And yet he's come out and said, well, actually, it wasn't just me. He was doing a lot of shagging and drinking. It was all of them.
Yeah, it's a
bit mad, that, innit?
Yeah, there's as you say, putting aside the serious allegations.
Which he's been found innocent.
Yeah, he's been found innocent, but you know what I mean? Like, assuming that there was no wrongdoing there and it was all consensual, then the man code's been seriously breached there, hasn't it? Fucking hell. Jesus Christ.
Imagine, let's just say Sterling's given let's just say, couple $100,000. Imagine me lending you a couple $100,000 and then you just rat me out months later.
Yeah.
Ah,
probably still owes him that 200,000, by the way, if he hasn't had any wages.
Well, 11 million quid he's looking for.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. So I thought that was just to kick this week's shows off. How to not be a rat.
I just don't see what... obviously, his angle is going okay. But so what if City were turned around and went, Sam, we're going to do it to them then as well? Doesn't make you right. Two wrongs don't make it right. All right, we're going to have to find them and take that wages off them as well.
Who's going to be bailing them out then?
Yeah.
But he's probably thought 11 million quid is more important than my allegiance with Raheem.
I'm sure he has, yeah.
I hope if we ever find ourselves in this situation, you don't put money over our friendship, okay?
Never, mate.
Thank you.
Of course not.
Right. Keep it on Man City, and I'm sure you've got something to say about this. As any talk of the big six, I know you like to jump on. But after Man City's last-minute winner, the Wolves manager has come out and claims that... I thought he was... I don't know if you heard him. I thought he was quite clever in how he
talks well, Gary O'Neill.
Yeah.
I think he's very articulate.
He was very clever in not to come out and basically say, you're all cheating bastards. He's kind of said, look, they're not doing it on purpose, but maybe there is a subconscious bias towards the big six. I personally thought the goal was fine. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the goal. But
I think there's nothing wrong with the goal, but I don't disagree with what he's saying at the same time. I thought
you'd say that. So, I do agree and I don't agree, because I could argue when Doku put, 6 studs in, I can't remember who it was, Liverpool, Man City, I think it was a draw. I think it finished 1-1 last season.
Yeah, but he's about top 6, so it's not the same, is it?
Well, I'd argue though, it's not so much top 6, it's just Man City. We're talking about refereeing kind of bias here and the big six, but out of the big six, Man City are the biggest in a sense, aren't they?
The way I see it, and forgive me if any referees are watching it and you're not in this category, but referees generally were bully victims in school, and they always want to be past the... No, they do. They want to be past the cool gang and be with the cool kids. The cool kids in the Premier League generally play for the top 6. They want to be kind of, all right, Kevin, De Bruyne, all right, Mo. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like they've got that kind of aspiration to be like seen, to be with them and associated with them.
They want to be more mates with them than they do.
I think so. And again, look, that's a sweeping statement.
Massive generalisation.
Yeah, massive generalisation of the persona of referees when they were children. I'm sure it's not the case of every referee.
I hope Muskie clips this.
Anyone who's played footy in school and all that, and has had referees at Sunday League, knows what I'm talking about here.
Do you know what you've just done? That we started off this conversation saying Gary O'Neill was very clever in how he worded it, and you just took that whole narrative back to victims in school. I don't think Gary O'Neill would have went as far as that, but
I think, yeah.
But this term Big Six gets banded about when it's the FA or it's the Premier League or it's governing bodies and things like that. So, but now it's going as far as referees have got a thing about the Big Six as well, which I thought was interesting.
And I think subconsciously is a very clever word to use, because he's not saying deliberately, is he?
No.
He's not saying intentionally, and that's why I'm going back to like your subconscious of like, you know, wanting to be on their side, not having those top players having a pop at you and thinking, F off ref and all that. I don't know, I just think there's something there where they think, you know, Mo Salah's a world, he's a superstar, Kevin De Bruyne is a superstar, Haaland's a superstar, I want them to like me.
Listen, let's face it, when 20, 30 years down the line and some of these refs are doing after dinner talks, they're not going to be talking about their altercation with the Wolves left back.
100%.
Are they? Yeah. They're going to be saying, remember that time Haaland, you know, come up to me and it was dodgy, but I overturned it, give him the goal, and and then I had to hand Haaland the match ball because he, you know, did. So yeah, you know what? Maybe there is something in what you're saying and what Gary O'Neill's saying. But I did think the goal was fine, and it did just feel. I was
really struggling to like. I watched it. Obviously, I was watching it with the sounds off, so I'm going, "What's wrong here?" And I didn't even see Silva, because Silva's that small. You don't see him, and I was like, "What? What's going?" There's no way on earth that he's interfering. I thought at first he was maybe giving a foul against John Stones. It was the most clear and obvious goal with no error you're likely to see.
I must admit, I was watching it in the Sandon car park before I went to match myself, and I actually had a bet on, and I'd pick loads of aways, and so I was kind of wasn't overly bothered sounds terrible. A bit earlier in the season, I was speaking to a lad at the bar. I said, you know what? I'm not that bothered if Man City could have a winner here. But it turns out the last leg of me bet got beat anyway, so I never won anyway. On Man City, won't talk too much about them because it'll just depress me, but it's just already, what are we, 10 games in, just got that ominous feeling of last minute winners, not playing great, injuries throughout the squad, and yet they're still winning. Last
night they had 2 goalies and 5 outfield players on the bench. Whoever they were playing, remember who they were playing last night? Had about 12, however many players allowed in the Champions League. Seemed like they had 12 players on the bench. City just had like 5 players and 2 goalies.
I think, listen, we don't need to talk about how good City are. I think the only thing that will give me hope that Liverpool could win the league this season is on injuries. Because let's face it, if Man City go through a season with every player fully fit, you know they're winning the league. The fact that Rodri's out for the season, De Bruyne's still not, back in the squad and everything.
I'd be worried about Haaland.
Well, he gets injured a lot, doesn't he?
That's what I mean. He has got a track record of getting injured maybe every few months, hasn't he? And being out for a month or 6 weeks. I think if he is, obviously that's a huge issue because they haven't got under the forwards.
No. I was mad when they sold. I've said this about Pep a few times. I mean, who might have?
I think they had to, I think they had to. I think it was that blatant in terms of the PSR. I think they had to sell a player.
Because I do think he sells players at the wrong time, like Sterling, Palmer.
I'm not sure he sold Sterling at the wrong time. I think if you look at the players who come in and took his place, I don't think
maybe so.
Palmer
Palmer
obviously is a glaringly, but again, I'm led to believe in another one because he was a homegrown player. It was another one that they had to do.
Maybe, yeah. On Liverpool then, I thought they were great against Chelsea. Thought they were really, really good. Thought it was a good game.
I thought it was a very good game. I was impressed with Chelsea. Same. I think you played well, but I was impressed with how they approached the game. I think they look like a proper team now.
Yeah, and you know what? I come out of the ground thinking, I'm glad we've played them earlier on the season because I think that's a team that will get better. I like their manager. I thought he played really well.
You see the balance with the 2 holding midfielders.
I was going to say that.
Lavia's still not fit yet, but if he can keep
he played well though, didn't he?
He's a good player. Yeah.
He played well, and it's a bit unusual, and to kind of see almost 2 of those kind of, Makelele was the
very few of them
ultimate
anymore,
kind of one, and to have 2 of them in there, but both look that they can really play as well. I thought they looked really good, so I'm glad that we played them early on, because I think they're a shoe-in for the top 4.
Yeah, it was like a bit of a. I think Lavia is a bit more like Essien. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
bottom forward a bit. Yeah, no, I was buzzing with the result. I actually thought we were going to get beat, believe it or not. I've just been impressed with Chelsea. And
in the first 20 minutes, they looked very good, and you looked a little bit shell-shocked by how much on the front foot they were.
Yeah, no, totally.
I think you said it a few times. I did see it most notably against Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, I think he played well, but I think them first 20 minutes, that was a so un-Liverpool performance. Like, he didn't fly out the traps. Well, we weren't all over them. And I think if Chelsea get that first goal, which I think they could have easily done, then that's a very different game.
Totally. And I think that's a conversation that will keep on happening throughout the season of how we're not flying out the blocks almost. If we're ever behind, there's not this urgency to grab a goal. The emotions maybe not in it. Very much so, yeah.
Like that last night against Leipzig as well. I thought Leipzig started quite well, has a few chances. It was like quite open, but it was like you were just biding your time, waiting for them to blow, run out of steam, and then just.
I feel like I'm watching. Again, don't kill me for this, but I feel like it's a little bit like watching like a Pep's Man City side. It's just a bit like, forget the fact that both managers are bald, but like I just feel it's just so kind of calculated, whereas Klopp was just very much on emotion a lot of the time, whereas completely different feel I get anyway. Notably, I think Curtis Jones was brilliant. I know you've had experience with Jones from when you were kind of working with him at the time. I mean, he had Cole Palmer in his pocket for a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? Did you ever see a player in Jones where you thought he could be, I'm not trying to build him up to be some world beater, but did you think he'd be in the likes of a Jurgen Klopp team and now an Arne Slot team? Did you think he'd be any type of player like that?
No, he's always been a very technical player, very creative, a proper football brain. He's not had that tenacity. I don't think. I didn't see it at 13, 14 or whatever. Didn't think that was there in him. I didn't think he was. I'm not saying he wasn't capable of rolling his sleeves up, because he's a competitor. He's a fierce competitor. He hated losing, hated not being in the team. And I you know what? I think that's the bit that I'm most impressed about in terms of his attitude. He's been so patient in terms of he spends a lot of time on the bench, a lot of time out of the team, a lot of time waiting for his chances. When he's come on, invariably he's made an impact. And now I think one thing I'll say about Curtis is he's always backed himself. He's always felt he was better than others, even when he wasn't, to be fair.
It's that confidence, yeah.
But he has always had that, I think, that inner confidence. His athleticism let him down when he was younger, but he's always been a competitor. I just don't think I ever seen him being as effective from a combative perspective. Like he was like, the way he talked after the game, bless him, he doesn't talk very well, but the way he spoke about
got better though, hasn't he?
No, but the way he spoke about, what I mean is the way he spoke about his job, and he knows and he respects that Cole Palmer's a top player and needs to keep him quiet. He never really had that side to his game in terms of the defensive awareness and awareness of his responsibilities, but he's evolved so much, and you know, personally, I hope he does really well. Hopefully, he goes somewhere else and does it. But no, fair play to him.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I thought Kelleher coming in. I've heard a few Liverpool fans kind of not really that keen on him. I think he's a great number 2.
Just different, isn't he?
Very different, but I thought he played great in both Chelsea and midweek. Núñez midweek taking his chance was great. And I just like the way the manager seems to kind of... And I've noticed in the press conferences afterwards, he doesn't ever single anyone out. He got asked last night, Núñez was great coming on, and he was like, yeah, he done well, but also so did Gakpo, so did so-and-so, so did... So I like he's almost keeping everyone on his toes, which I think that front line, the attacking options we've got, and the midfield, I think that's going to be a big job of keeping everyone happy. So, brilliant. Welcome Arsenal on Sunday. They've got a few discipline issues, a few injuries. I don't think Saka's trained all week. I think Saliba's...
Just briefly back to the couple of Dutch players, because we did suspect that he was going to start to prefer... You know, your Gravenberch, your Gakpo.
Just let my fantasy down.
Gakpo over Diaz. What's your thing? Because that seems to be at the moment his preference.
I'll be honest, since the Euros in the summer, and you're seeing Gakpo, I think he scored 2, 3, 4 goals maybe, coming in on the left. That wasn't the Cody Gakpo that was at Liverpool last season.
He didn't play there though, did he?
He didn't, no, but he just didn't even look like he had that burst of pace in him. So he looked brilliant. I don't know whether new manager, new style of play, new system, I don't know what it is, but I'm still having Diaz over Gakpo, but it's a lot more of a conversation now than it was last year. You wouldn't have even...
Gravenberch, by the way, just seems to be getting better game by game.
Well, the one time we spoke about him, he went shit, so I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah, that's why I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, I just think, it's exciting times. Arsenal will be a massive test at the weekend, but I think with their injuries, Saliba out, Saka not training.
Was that's a Sunday?
Sunday 4:30, yeah. So, I think if we can get 3 points there away, I'd take a draw, but if we can get 3 points, knowing that we're sitting top of the Champions League, or joint top anyway, beat Chelsea, beat Arsenal, listen, it's exciting times, I think. Yeah, on to Everton then. I didn't see as quite of a comfortable 2-0 victory at Ipswich. And maybe that sounds a bit disrespectful, as in...
No, I think it's fair.
Ipswich are kind of, one of the relegated teams coming up.
They've had a win, haven't they? Unlike some of the others, they had a win at home, and it looked like maybe their home territory was going to be where they were going to pick points up.
Yeah, and I think Liverpool played them first game of the season. I thought they played really well at times, and I just thought you might have struggled a bit. But listen, 2-0, kept a clean sheet. Fulham at the weekend, and all of a sudden you're looking at the league table, thinking, what were we all worried about in August for?
I mean, you don't need me to say I wasn't worried.
I was worried for you.
I know, but you always criticise me for saying you always find a positive for it. I wasn't worried. I think I look around at the teams, including Ipswich, and I think there still is a serious lack of quality. Watching the game on Saturday, no disrespect to them, and look, they may still end up finishing close to us in the league. They're a poor side. Then they've got some really poor players. Then got some good players equally, but they got some poor players who when we pressurised them and got tight to them, they got exposed. I think you just let them off the hook a little bit. I think you was far too, in the first half when you played them, starts the season, you was a little bit too standoff, allowed them to dictate the pace. When, Arne Slot got into them at half time, you made them look pretty ordinary in the second half. I still think they'll get points at home.
Do you think they'll stay up?
Going back, no. I think Southampton go down. I think they go down, and I think it's a toss-up amongst a few other teams. Then I don't personally think we'll be in that mix of those other teams. Don't think we'll be that far ahead, but I still think there's players we brought in, like the likes of Ilman and Zaya again. He was brilliant. He was improving.
He's playing really well, isn't he?
Dwight McNeil's getting goals and assists that he hasn't been getting in the past. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's contributing without scoring, which some might say that's a negative, but I think it's encouraging the fact he will have a bit of a streak where he'll get some goals. So I think there's enough goals in there. I think we've still got the ability to keep clean sheets. I think the only positive thing about Michael Keane being in the team is he will get goals like he did the weekend. What a finish that was.
I did think of you when he scored.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not the only Evertonian who hates Michael Keane because he's just such a jigsaw. He just falls apart in our box as opposed to the opposing box. But yeah, look, very good win, positive one. I'm not getting too carried away because I think I still think we've got it's a tough one against Fulham because I think Marco Silva, anyone who follows our podcast for long enough to when we had him as a coach knows that I rated him massively as a coach. I thought he was unfortunate with the way the recruitment went. I thought he should have been given more time. I think he's an excellent coach, and I think what you get with Marco Silva is whenever there's an international break, his teams tend to come back better because he has time on the grass with them. Whereas when the games are coming thick and fast, that's when I think his man management isn't as good as other.
You see that with some managers, don't you? You can tell they're much better coaches when they have a lot of time, whereas when you don't get the coaching time and it's more about almost man management.
He tends to struggle over Christmas, Marco Silva, when the games come thick and fast, because I don't think he is, that type of fella who puts the arm around the shoulder and gets into them. I just think he's good at the detail. He's good at working out other teams and stuff like that.
Whereas you'd argue Sean Dyche maybe haven't had all the pre-season loads of time coaching, always starts off terribly.
Well, that's it. He's not a very good coach, Sean Dyche.
And then come Christmas,
I think he's a decent man manager.
Yeah.
I think he's good at rallying the troops and stuff and getting people to buy into a general plan and a way of playing. So when the games start to come thick and fast and the players have started to get rid of the aches and pains from the Dyche pre-season, I think he tends to come into his own. But yeah, good result.
So you're fancying yourselves against Fulham or?
I don't know,
At home, isn't it? So
yeah, it is. They're one of them teams where I don't know. I think one side of me thinks it'll suit us because they're going to come on to us. They're going to leave gaps at the back. It depends how they approach the game. If Marco Silva is clever enough, he'll sit back and say, "Go on, what have you got?" But I think if he looks at the way that Ipswich tried to approach it, putting men forwards and leaving gaps, it could be their undoing. I think it'll be one way. If Fulham come at us, I think we win the game. I think if Fulham sit back and they're clever, I think they might pick us off and beat us.
Really, I didn't expect that. I fancy a draw there, and I'm going to go for a draw for Liverpool as well. Although I definitely don't think we'll get beat. I think it's either a double chance of win for Liverpool or a draw.
I fancy a 2-1 either way. Everton, I don't see a draw personally. I think both teams will fancy themselves to win the game. I think both teams at times will commit themselves to win it. So I'm going to go 2-1 either way. Okay.
One thing that we can talk about, which involves Liverpool and Everton, is they coming together along with the rest of the Premier League teams over ticket prices. The stop exploiting loyalty is the tagline. Liverpool's announced at the start of the season a 2% increase. On the average of the Prem teams, it's gone up 7%. I'm a little bit on the fence with this,
I am, yeah.
One hand, you could argue that, look, it's already, £55 I pay on average, I'd say, to go and watch Liverpool. What's Everton at the moment?
40, 42 or something like that.
Now, I think this seems worse because you look at the people you're going to watch and they're getting paid 50, 100, 150, 200 grand a week. It seems like, why are you putting the ticket price up and you get all this money from Sky, you get all this money from sponsorships, why are you charging me an extra £5, an extra £10 when you get all this money and you're paying players 200 grand a week? I get that. That's the argument from the fans. The other bit is, though, Everton's gone up. You go to the pub and you go and have a pint.
Everyone's had to put the prices up, yeah.
Everyone's had to put the prices up. So why do fans then think that...
You look at inflation and stuff, yeah, it's way exceeds 2%.
And I think that, I don't want to come across it. I'll probably get shouts of Andy's a Tory or something about this. Anytime you talk about siding with the club or siding with the establishment, and all I kind of mean is, these people who own these clubs are fucking businessmen who like making money and are good at making money. If everything's going up around the world, why do people think that football's this charity where they're just going to go, you know what, mate? No, nice one. Like, they're not going to. I know in an ideal world they would, but if everything's going up, they're going to put the prices up.
The other thing is as well, which going back to your business points, if you're sitting in the boardroom or you're in that commercial team thinking, okay, well, where do we get the balance right with the tickets? The main thing it comes down to is, are the customers going to pay it? The answer in your case is the customers will pay it.
Yeah.
Now, they might not be the customers that...
The same customers,
again, the loyal customers that have been there through thick and thin and whatever. But the fact of the matter is, people will pay it. And that's... if there was this united front that we could achieve and whatever, fair play. And let's be honest, the clubs would have to buckle at some point, but they're still going to get the TV money. There's going to be fans who will fly from all over the world to come and watch Liverpool. Arguably, once Everton get the new stadium, it won't be too dissimilar because people will come to the city and therefore will go to that stadium because it's a 10-minute walk from the city centre. So it's,
Football's like a drug, and if you're not taking that drug, listen, there's a queue of thousands of people who want to take that drug. And listen, I would love to be able to go, oh yeah, Liverpool have dropped the prices, it's a tenner to get in, but that's just not, it's just not going to work.
And you'd also love to like to think that the established English clubs will follow some of the German model and go, well, why price our fans out of it, bring them in. Like, let's be honest, two things, right? If somehow the Premier League changed their rules and the police allowed people to drink on the terraces, they could lower the ticket prices and people would come in early and have a drink, and that money would far supersede 100%. What they're getting through the gates.
100%.
So there is a solution here. Obviously, it would put into risk to a certain extent security, but I think 99% of fans, mate, having a drink on the terraces, I'm not sure it's going to necessarily have that negative, because you think about it, people get blazzers anyway.
I know.
If you're going to the match, you go and do it in the pub before it, you'll do it at half time.
Sometimes I've gone in the match, I've had 5 pints before the match, I'll have one at half time.
Exactly. So I think there's a bit of a middle ground here, or a bit of a halfway house. If the clubs turn around and said to fans, look, if you come in our stadiums and start drinking and you have drink on the terraces, forget about them. We're not asked about the ticket prices. Yeah. But if you don't, then we're going to have to increase the... I'm not saying you encourage alcohol, because it could be buying hot dogs, could be buying burgers. There's totally, loads of different... So I think that if with a common sense approach, I think you could find a bit of a halfway house.
And the last thing I was saying, if fans have also got to realise that if fans in the summer are going to moan, for example, let's say Liverpool fans, they're moaning that we didn't get Bellingham, and like, why didn't we just pay him the 400 grand a week he wants? So club owners then could quite rightly then say, okay, well, I'll pay him the 400 grand, but I'm going to put your ticket up a tenner.
Yeah.
It's like, I just think fans straight away jump on this, it's gone up, but don't actually have a kind of adult view and look at it and think, and I know in an ideal world you could say, like the way the Germans do, we're not going to rip off, but let's just fucking be real.
But again, going back to the Germans, the reason they don't is they make that much money off ale and drinking. So they're not saying that, but they know that's the fact of the matter. If you go to a German game, they're there an hour before, they're drinking throughout the game, people are constantly back and forth. So they make the money that way.
And then last few little stories I thought were interesting. So this whole kind of Club World Cup, I've not took any notice in it, and it's not just the fact that Liverpool aren't in it, but I just don't even get what it is. It doesn't seem like a competition on merit. It doesn't seem like anything I'm going to be interested in, and even less so now, as I think they're struggling to sell it for the TV rights, etc. They're struggling to get people to get excited about it. So now they've just give Inter Miami a pass and just said, you are going to be able to play in this. I think Chelsea are playing in it, Man City.
Say they give them a pass though, they did win they are top of the MLS at the moment. They're probably
it's only just started. It doesn't actually finish until December, I don't think. So they've already said, listen...
we're not far off. The MLS isn't far off finishing.
I think it's December.
We're in the end of October now.
I suppose, but...
I know what you're saying, though.
It's like saying Man City are just in the quarterfinals, I know, but you're probably going to win it.
Yeah.
And listen, that's because Messi...
Suarez.
Sells, do you know what I mean? Beckham... Even Beckham owning it is a big thing, isn't it? So I think the first match is going to be into Miami Stadium. So it's on the 15th of June till the 3rd of July. I'm actually glad Liverpool aren't in it.
Scandalous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like this particular instance, I would forgive a lot of players for going, my groin, totally. I'm injured here. That's just a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I thought that was interesting. Another little mad story from Chelsea. They've got a youngster called Josh, I get his name wrong. Achapong. They basically turned around and said that you're not going to play for the first team or the development squad until you sign a contract. The manager, Chelsea manager, first team manager, come out and said he's disappointed on whoever's advising this young lad, and basically said, just sign the contract. This lad hasn't signed the contract. There's been interest from, I think, Real Madrid, Liverpool have been looking at him. But I'm be surprised if like the PFA don't get involved, because it's a bit like...
I don't see the problem.
Really? Like
he doesn't want to sign a contract, so why should they play him? The point is, your talented youth players, you obviously want to promote them through. You want them to play for the first team and whatever. But why would you give them the opportunities if they're not going to commit themselves to the club? The other players who are going to commit themselves to the club deserve that opportunity. It's a waste of resource. It's a waste of their resource to allow a young... It's a bit like...
but the contract that he's currently on, though, surely there's something in there where you can't just stop playing him. It's a bit like, when...
He'll still be training. There's no contract is going to... He'll still be playing for the younger teams, but what they're saying is they're not going to promote him to the extent of playing for their senior squads until he signs a contract. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I don't know, I get the feel of maybe I'm being a bit naive, just like a little blackmail kind of feel.
Well, yeah, it is, but like again, if you own a business and you as a young employee, would you want to be promoting them through the ranks and giving them opportunities to sit at the
knowing full well he's going to fuck you off,
sit at the board table or be part of these meetings that are key to the business when he's leaving?
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I think too often young footballers and their agents think that they run the show, and I think it's about time some of the football clubs address that balance.
Actually, yeah. Last bit on footy, Mourinho has made a joke. They obviously play on the Thursday, which will happen tonight. He's just joked about he might have another Premier League title, as the season when he was at United, I think they finished about 18 points behind City. But given City's charges, he made a little dig at them saying he might have another Prem.
Well, he's also dropped a hint that he's coming back as well, hasn't he?
Did he?
He said such and such, I can't remember the quote, but it was something like blah 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 can have his way until I'm back in the Premier League soon, something like that.
I'll be taking over Everton. I just thought it was interesting, as even though he's not in here, footballers around the world are like still onto Man City just cheating. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was interesting. But yeah,
P Diddy of football, just little subliminal messages going around.
Right, into boxing. So the presser for Fury and Usyk was on. I don't know if you've seen it. Usyk was dressed like an assassin.
Yeah, with a suitcase.
With a briefcase, that had a photo in of him
knocking Fury
out or giving him a good left hand, I think it was. But I thought it was just a bit underwhelming. It was a bit of an awkward thing with the poor guy, I forget his name, who had to kind of host it. He was going to Fury and Fury was giving a one-word answer. What do you think it's going to go like? I don't know. Going to Usyk, what do you think? Yes. Back to Fury? No. It was like, come on. I thought this whole idea of trying to sell a fight, and I know arguably you don't have to sell this fight because it's one of the biggest ever, but it was a bit like...
No, the funniest part of that press conference was with the Peter McGrail Dennis McCann exchange,
which I thought was
brilliant. My granddad's jacket.
Yeah, that's what I get me from my granddad at Crimbo or something.
And like Joe Mack and all that, dropping little stuff in about VADA testing. Did you see that on Instagram last night?
No.
He put like a picture of the press conference and he put hashtag VADA, hashtag like safe sport or something like that, suggesting that Peter McGrail's missed a test, which then Peter McGrail come back on social media and said, just to be clear, I haven't missed any tests, I'm fully up to date. On the opposite end, I think he said, my opponent isn't, so don't throw stones if you live in a glass house type thing.
See, I'm really excited about this. Yeah. It's really heating up. I mean,
particularly in this city, because you've got Dennis McCann who's fighting with Joe Mack and Declan out of the Rotunda. You've got obviously Peter McGrail down the road at Everton Triangle. You could literally throw a stone from the Rotunda to the Everton Triangle if you could.
If you could throw that far, yeah. I'm pretty sure as well they share, I think, like there's some of the same like strength and conditioning, maybe the same nutrition. Well, so there's a lot of like
it's a mile away probably.
Yeah, so it's gonna divide the city in a way. I think. Dead excited for it. I can't wait. It's December 21st.
Going back to your bit, I think there is a little bit of that. I think they know that. And you know what's encouraging is they both look serious about it. You know, you've had Fury before to all his antics. I think, he's in a place where I think he knows this is my proper, like, if I get beat here, probably not coming back from this in terms of me all-time legacy of undisputed in this era. I did
think as well, it's come out news that the news come out that Fury's wife suffered a miscarriage the day before the fight last time. Now, God only knows what kind
of space would you be in.
Yeah. Terrible news, and I think then to go and fight the biggest fight of your life. I mean, but listen, the odds for this time are Fury's the outsider. Usyk's odds on. Fury was 13-5 last time I checked, so the first time I think since the Wilder fight.
Good price that,
I know.
Honestly, like particularly if you got a Fury going into the fight, as he said, where last time he wasn't quite as bullish about this. He was saying this time, I've got to knock him out. You've got a guy his size with his tools,
and especially now that there was that awful incident with his wife having a miscarriage beforehand. If you put in how much did that take out of him? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited for it. The only one thing I will say, just to be a bit negative on it all.
Please don't.
Only why? Because not just that, but we'll come on to tennis next. Everyone just forgets about this Saudi thing. Which, listen, I cannot wait for this fight. This Riyadh season has brought some great fights and all that. But it just pisses me off that you've got Frank Warren, you know, on that press conference, he has his little spiel saying, you know, Riyadh season, it's over a year now, it started last August, look at the fights we've had on, and he's naming all these title fights, all these undisputed fights, all of this. Thank you to... Listen, whoever's got enough money, if I won the Euro Millions, right, and I said, right, I want to fight in my back garden, it would happen.
Yeah.
It's just the money. And so all this idea of Saudi beheading people for being gay or stoning people and all that, no one gives a fuck anymore because there's that much money on the table. You've got, we're going to come on to now in the tennis, they've got this, what do they call it, the Six King tournament.
Ronnie O'Sullivan Snooker Academy.
Ronnie O'Sullivan Snooker, the boxing, you know, Stevie's out there having a great time. No one gives a fuck about human rights if there's enough money. And that's just like, there's so much, even like on Talk Sport and stuff, there was all, no one gives a fuck anymore. It's only took a year of throwing as much money as humanly possible at something to make people forget. And that's just it. And on that note, so Nadal come out that he's retiring and he played his last match against Novak Djokovic. I think that was his last match, or it was definitely the last match them two were going to have together. Novak won it in the Six Kings Slam in Saudi. I mean, it does sound quite cool, Six Kings Slam. Sinner was the one who actually won it. He beat Alcaraz in the final and walked away with £4.6 million. Now, to be in a tournament called the Six Kings, you know, it's not like a proper long tournament that, you know, you playing qualifiers for, you know, you do all that.
Right in saying it was 6 players then?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so. So 6 players and, you know, you win. Don't get me wrong, 6 of the best players.
Yeah.
But 6 of the best players and you win 4.6 million isn't to be sniffed at, thanks to that Saudi money. Nadal, with him retiring, also was given a golden tennis racket as a farewell gift. God knows how much that's worth, but, you know, not to be sniffed at. In other tennis news, you had Diego Forlan, remember him? I remember him scoring a couple against Dudek when Dudek fucked up back in 2000, I think it might have been. He's 45 and he's just made his debut in the Uruguayan Open.
What? Tennis?
In tennis.
Wow. I mean, he's always looked like a tennis player to me more than a footballer, to be fair.
So, he wasn't a bad footballer. He won a golden ball.
He was Villarreal, I think, with his best years.
Yeah,
very good.
Best player in the World Cup 2010. But yeah, he's retired 2018 and he's made his professional tennis debut at the age of 45 in the Uruguayan Open.
That's incredibly impressive, that, isn't it? He played professionally in 2 different sports.
Unbelievable.
Completely different as well.
Gareth Bale kind of vibes, Annie. And listen, we couldn't touch tennis without me mentioning Emma Raducanu. She's set to miss out on the Hong Kong Open due to a foot injury this time. It's the 5th event she's missed.
She needs to change her physio, doesn't she?
She needs to change something.
Change fucking physio.
Do a Diego Forlan and change sport maybe or something, because she's not fucking winning anything anytime soon. On horse racing, me and you were lucky enough to spend an afternoon with AP McCoy. I just wanted to ask your thoughts on it. It was a pretty interesting chat, wasn't it, with him?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, what a tough fella. Dead honest, like brutally honest. Unbelievable journey, and like you had the pleasure of interviewing him. Just the mentality of, and it's funny. What was interesting, I didn't pull him up on it because it would have been inappropriate. But you asked him a question to start, saying, you know, what was it for you? Was it fear of losing, or, you know, hunger to win, or however you put it? He kind of didn't really answer the question. But then towards the end, it kind of came out how much he hated losing. Yeah. As in, like, he was saying, you know, I couldn't... He said about the records, didn't he? About people breaking records, and that was one...
That was the maddest thing I thought he said.
He was, yeah. So for the benefit of everyone else, he was comparing, like, Wayne Rooney when he lost... Sorry, Bobby Charlton lost his record to Wayne Rooney, the Man United goal-scoring record. Bobby Charlton was still alive at the time. God rest his soul. And he was reported after him saying, he was made up, he was delighted, and he was smiling, clapping and all that. He was saying, I would absolutely hate that. Yeah. He went, if I was him, I'd rather be dead when it happens.
He actually went on to say, people had said to him when he retires from being a jockey, you know, would you go and train jockeys? He said, why would I tell all young upcoming jockeys how to get better than me and break my records? He said, no. So
it was dead refreshingly funny, wasn't it? But like,
I've never known anyone like to just want to win that much. He was like...
No, but I think it was more he didn't want other people to be better than him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he didn't want to win. Yeah, he just wants
just
to be...
that drive and determination to not lose or win, whatever you want to say.
But you know what? There was a lot of deep... And again, I don't say this in a negative way. I actually said it to him when we got the photo. The ego was huge in a way.
God,
like, if you think about it, because he was like... He was all about, like, I'm the best, and this was... But... And he tried to mask that at times. And I think it is one of them. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to come across as arrogant. And I don't think he was arrogant. I just think he's got a huge ego when it comes to...
Yeah. I just think, mate, everyone, listen, find me a sportsman who's dominated for 20 years on the spin who hasn't got an ego.
Yeah, and that's where it come from for me, him saying, I wanted to go out knowing I was at my best and I just decided to get off.
Yeah.
On my own terms.
I never had to retire because there was a new kid on the block. No, I stopped when...
Well, that was literally said. He went, I didn't want to go into the next season and suddenly I get an injury and someone overtakes me and it's like, oh, poor AP, he's had to retire. He was like, no, I'm retiring now because I want to.
It was fascinating. Really, really enjoyed it. Like, top guy. And then the last couple of bits, in the Olympics, I thought, you know, we speak about the Saudi money. Maybe the Saudi should host the Olympics and put some money into it because they reckon athletes, UK athletes, this is from
sad,
great British athletes, some of them don't think they're going to be able to survive. I say survive, I mean kind of almost reach their potential for the 2028 Olympics because the average athlete at the moment on the development programme is £22,500 a year. So that $22,500 a year is to pay for, you know, your training, to pay for...
I mean, they get a lot of them. Half of these at least will be sponsored and stuff, do you know what I mean? But
but that's on your own personal brand.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you still got to try and...
Do you know what I mean? If you're a bit of a boring bastard, but you just happen to be exceptionally talented, you might not have a load of sponsors throwing money at you. So that $22,500 a year is basically so you don't have to get a job and you can commit all your time to being the best at your sport. $22,500 a year isn't getting you far if you're trying to win a gold medal in 4 years' time. So yeah, if the Saudis wants to come and sponsor the GB athletes, then maybe I'll get on board with you a bit more. Basketball, I think this was just a bit of a PR one. I don't know if you've seen it. LeBron James and his son made history as they got to play, I think, 2.5 minutes basketball together, which I thought was pretty great. But then I read on, and basically he's going to get like carted out to like the LA Lakers fucking Z team. Yeah. But I mean, listen, it's a nice story, isn't it?
Probably paid, didn't he, to be fair?
Probably. Anyone would love to be able to play.
Funny actually on that story. I can't remember who I was talking. It was obviously someone who was from Nigeria, and they were talking about like the football system over there, and he basically said that there's hundreds of players who play for the Nigerian national team because their dads have paid the federation to call them up.
Shut up.
Yeah, you've got caps for the Nigerian national team.
Well, but you know, if it was like a
they're
qualifier,
playing for some like dog and duck,
yeah, and it was already qualified,
and it's like, there's $500,000. I want my son to be called up.
That's hilarious.
And come off the bench.
That is brilliant, and it does not surprise me. I haven't heard your Kanu story as well. Yeah, and then in the UFC, mate, really interesting. Ngannou made his return. What's the brand he's in again? It's not obviously it's not the UFC, is it? It's the, I should say MMA. It was the PFL, was it? Or
PFL, yeah.
It might have been. Anyway, he comes in and absolutely pummels the lad he's facing, Ferreira, I think.
Ferreira, yeah.
Oh, it was a savage one.
Brutal, yeah. Savage. And a lot of people see Conor McGregor's tweet as well, where he said, I'm putting $500,000 on Ferreira to knock him out.
Oh, did he?
Loads of people jumped on it, retweeted it, and obviously went the other way. It's been quiet since, like.
Yeah, not
gone into a hole.
I was speaking to AJ, one of the lads at the event we were at yesterday, about Conor McGregor, and it's like, I've got a proper love-hate relationship with him. Like, starts off loving him, and then he does a few things, and you think, what a knob. And then I saw a thing on him, he's on his boat somewhere, and there's like a swing on his boat, and he's pushing his kid on a swing on his boat in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, wherever he is. And then I went back to loving him again, thinking, you know what? You're just a lad who's come from fuck all.
Didn't know where that was going then.
And
thought it was going to be, and it turns out it was a sex swing.
It might be in another part of the day, but he's only ever wanted to make a load of money and look after his family.
Has he? I think he could have done that, and he could have disappeared into the sunset if that's all he wanted. He's still desperate to be relevant. Yeah,
that's his ego, though, like we've just said before.
Yeah. No, but yeah. All
sportsmen.
I didn't hear AP McCoy once talk about money yesterday. It was literally about, he was openly, but it was more about,
True.
I want to be the best, I want to be this, I want to be that. Didn't hear him mention, in fact, he actually avoided the temptation to even confirm or deny how much he got paid at any point, didn't he? There was people saying, I thought you were on £1 million. He was like, well, I'm not gonna comment on that.
Yeah, no, you know what, you make a good point.
I think there's a big difference there.
Listen, they are different personalities as well, though, and I think, there was a bit of me, and I just saw him living his best life, and I thought, you know what, fair play to you. He'll probably do something knobhead next week, and I won't like him again. But and then the last bit, mate, bit of sad news, really. Well, some really, really sad news. But
horrendous.
First off, was Mark Cavendish. So he was going to retire, I think it was last season, or the season before, but he fell off in the Tour de France, and he was going after the record. So stayed on for another year. Thankfully, he got his record. He won the 35th stage. He's won 35 stages of the Tour de France. And I think he thinks now, look, I've done all I can. So he's set to end his career in November. You just think, what a career from the Isle of Man. I met him actually once, him and his wife, Petter. Really nice couple. Really humble. Does a lot for injured servicemen. Top guy. And you think, what a legend. So he's going to be retiring in November. And then a bit of a shit way to end the show. But Chris Hoy, an Olympian, how many gold medals he won? God, I lost count. Unbelievable athlete, and someone who's not just an athlete, but a beast. An absolute monster of a man. So powerful, and I know that doesn't mean anything in what we're going to say has happened to him, but terminal cancer, 2 to 4 years to live.
Horrendous, mate. 2 kids,
Two young children, I think like 7 and 11 as kids are. And obviously both got kids ourselves. You just think, don't you?
As you say, though, it is like people have got this perception around athletes and people who've reached the top of the sport, as in like they're almost
especially Olympians, superhuman Olympians, multiple time gold medal winners. You just think
no one's immune to that.
You're not getting cancer, and yet just terminal as well. You just think, oh my God, the mindset he must be in, waking up every day, but it's just my heart goes out to him. I feel so sad for it. So shit way to end the show.
Yeah, I know. Well, again, shit way to end the show, but puts a lot of everyone else's stresses into context, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can turn this podcast off, and hopefully most of you can go, do you know what? I'm not in that position. I'm crack on. I'm going to go give my kids a hug. Know that, we can look forward to the future.
There's the optimistic Gary. There you go. The Blues are lucky to have you, lad. Right. Thanks very much for listening. Me and Gary will be posting our betting tips on Patreon on Saturday morning. Hopefully you have a bit of luck. Please like, subscribe, comment, share the podcast. Keep it going, and we'll see you next week.